Hey, what's up, guys? Trust Me Rain in here, and oh my god, it is like 130 degrees in my attic. It is absolutely like I'm sweating completely here. Whatever, because I don't have an AC up here, and I am just like drenched, just absolutely getting demolished by the heat. But that's not the point. The point is that I wanted to talk about was I feel like there's too much criticism on the obviously PC gamer master race, mainly because people feel the need to upgrade their freaking graphics card every single year. Like, what do you mean, bro? Like, what are you even talking about? Um, and I just wanted to clear some things up because I had to finally upgrade, and I think this is in regard not having to upgrade anything else in your computer, obviously your power supply, but I personally believe that you should never, unless obviously with the power supply, ever purchase one of the newer graphics cards that come out because they're technically already out. Those newer graphics cards are already out in the last generation. So, for example, when Nvidia releases one of their graphics cards, a GTX, for example, 780 is now packaged as the GTX 960. Literally, they just downgrade it, and then just get a little bit more wattage per performance. So then you think, oh, it's totally different, and it really is not, because that's not how it works. And when the GTX when they had that scandal with they said that their 970 was like 4 gigabytes of RAM, but it was actually only 3.5, and then the 500 megabytes was actually kind of locked because that's how they do it with other series. And it was just like everyone went haywire over the 970. But that's not the point. The point is that I want to talk about is that you don't need to upgrade your graphics card every single year. And it's actually, in my opinion, a much smarter buy to buy a used graphics card. So, for example, back when Battlefield 3 came out, around 2011, I picked up the game. 2012, I needed a new graphics card. So I went out and bought myself off Craigslist a GTX 560 superclocked for about $100. It came out in 2010, and I can still play all the AAA titles on low settings at 1080p. Now, I will not be getting 60 frames per second, but I will not drop lower than pretty much 40. Obviously, some games give or take on optimization. But I actually personally use a 1600 by 900 monitor, so that takes out of the equation the 40 FPS the average on low. But what I'm saying is, having and playing the game at maximum having the game on maximum settings every time is a need, which you don't need. For Battlefield 3, for example, I could stare my butt off into the screen. I could barely tell a difference if I was rushing and I was playing the objective instead of just walking around looking at stupid trees and be like, oh, this is so much lower texture. You could not tell a difference. I could physically sit there for 5 hours and I would not be able to tell you the difference. Because it would actually be a gameplay. It's not, here, let's walk at a pace of, I don't know, one step every 10 minutes so you can tell the difference. Come on, people. But that's not the point. So I personally went on eBay and I need a new. Oh, sorry about that. I'm using a towel right now. I'm just getting soaked on, just absolutely soaked. But that's not the point. So I went on eBay. I'm going to college. I was thinking about getting a laptop, but I was like, dude, I have to spend because I'm doing architecture, and I would need a laptop that cost me about 1.1 grand. All right, that sounded weird. 1100. So I was just like, I got to find something cheaper because I don't want to spend that much because I'm already college debt and everything. I was like, why add more to it? Why? So I was like, all right, maybe I can just upgrade my computer, my desktop, since it's already decent, and I can just absolutely go overkill with half the price, literally a third of the price of what a new laptop would cost me, and just grab an older laptop from my room and just take that with me and have a remote desktop setup. And that's exactly what I'm going to do. So what I did was, 6 years after the GTX 560 came out, I'm finally upgrading. I don't see it, and don't get me wrong, the GTX 560 superclocked is a low to mid range graphics card. that came out in 2010 and it still worked on AAA titles. So that's ridiculous. I got way out of my money and just bought it used. So I went on eBay and picked up myself that sounded weird. I picked up a GTX 690. Be like, oh, that's so old and everything, but I picked it up for $240, and it comes close. If you overclock it, it will not destroy. It will pretty much be a GTX Titan X Black, whatever, or Z, whatever. It will be extremely close to it, and that's because a lot of the games now are not optimized for 2 GPUs, and the GTX 690 is 2 GPUs, so that's why it kind of lacks with the driver problems, and people are like, oh, it's 20 frames per second lower, but that's because the optimization is not there. So here's the thing, I saved myself literally $900 because I decided to buy myself a used graphics card, and here's why I'm gonna say buy a used graphics card. It's because you really need to realize just how much money you're spending on this stuff. So take it as a new car. If you bought yourself a brand new car, I understand it's gonna work, but think about how bad of an investment it is. Just think about it. It's 20 grand. You buy yourself a brand new car for 20 grand. 10 years later, it's worth 4 grand, 5 grand. I don't know, something like that. That's a $15,000 loss. Same with the graphics card. When the GTX 690 came out, it was $1,000, and I just picked it up 3 years later for, I don't know, 200. How much you said? $40. I don't know. That's a pretty bad investment in my point. And you might say, oh, but it's gonna have so much troubleshooting and everything, dude. If people didn't use that graphics card for Bitcoining or bit mining, whatever you want to call it, if they didn't use it for that, the graphics card will be fine. And you know, it's just like a used car. There's still cars running on the road that are 40 years old. You can have if you buy yourself a used car like I did for myself, a GTX 690. I'm only gonna upgrade it like literally like in 2020, like in 10 years from now, because it will be able to. Because it's not a need. It's a want to always play the games at Ultra. And don't get me wrong, if I stay in 1080p, I will be fine. Obviously, when you go up to 4K, and that's just crazy, dude. I understand 4K games. It's a little bit out of the reach for the average consumer, just a little bit, you know, by a few $1,000s. But hopefully don't upgrade if you really can't. I say the only time you should upgrade your graphics card. Obviously, see, I'm talking about, you know, not including any other like the power supply, CPU, memory. None of that. I'm just talking about the graphics card. And I'm saying that your graphics card should only be upgraded when you can no longer physically play games at 1080p, 60 frames per second on lowest settings on AAA titles. That's what I'm saying. And if you buy yourself a used graphics card for $200 or $250 or whatever, it will do the job for the next 5 years. And I don't know what to say, bros, but that's a lot better of a deal than going out and spending $500-600 on a graphics card. And I feel like people just upgraded way too fast, like the consoles. Like, I feel like a graphics card, if you buy yourself a top-end graphics card, so a PS4 costs $500. Alright, it's more like $400. So it costs $400. If you go out and buy yourself a graphics card for $400, you should be able to keep it for a whole console cycle. You don't need to upgrade every 3 years. And you know what? If it really pisses you off that much off, in 3 years when you're on upgrade, buy yourself the same freaking card and SLI them. Just literally, you just saved. I'm toast, guys. I'm just absolutely, literally, like having a shower here in my sweat. This is terrible. I'm dying. All right. I hope some of you out. Please let me know if you need any questions. If you have any questions, I'll gladly answer them. And sorry for the long video. I just had to get it out of my chest because I was looking at too many graphics card reviews. But thank you guys for watching, and leave anything. Please don't go up in your attic and play video games without an AC. You're just gonna get absolutely annihilated.